welcome to episode 18 of Rapid Unscheduled Discussion. How was that intro? How was that? Hope you guys
I like it.
hope you everyone in the chat enjoyed that. That was straight out of Daryl, his late night obsession that he decided to do that's over this weekend.
Yes.
And I think the only thing that could make that better is a narrator like they have on Saturday Night Live. Just narrating over. It reminds me of like something you see from like a sitcom type deal. That's just the music, the intro, and you
That's
gotta.
that's what I had in mind. It was like kind of like a catchy friend style thing, but mix in some alcohol. Yeah, alcohol feel.
Yeah, so now we all need to get like video of us like, and then our name pops up.
It's a constant work in progress, so I will be updating it over time. But I wanted to have something good for tonight, and I got something good for tonight. So yay!
Yeah, because we want to get more pictures, hopefully on Wednesday, because we can finally say it this week, hopefully, pending, but less than 2 days away from DM2.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I'm Seth Kurkowski, by the way. I forgot to do intros because we got caught up on the... I'm Seth Kurkowski, by the way, your host of always, as well as my special... the guest our host, Daryl Sausse, is our guest, Nathan
Hey.
Barker.
Hey.
Yay! Whew, man.
Okay.
If anything needs polish.
I'm sorry, that intro confused me. Everything went...
I did
black
my
after
part.
the-
I did my part, and it totally threw you off.
Nathan Barker, obviously, probably a lot of everyone here knows who he is. Photographer and newly writer for NASA Spaceflight.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
How was that? When did that come up? Like, did you just pitch it to Chris or Chris's? And
It was something that came up kind of out of the blue, really, with everything that's going on, over the past few weeks and leading up to demo 2 this week. Obviously there's a lot of content that we're pushing out as a team and sharing what's going on, and there was an opportunity to talk about the weather, and I was asked if I would be interested in doing that, and being I've never written before. It was kind of a topic that, I love rockets. I love weather. I felt like I would be able to sit down and write and talk about it. So, it really worked out well, and kind of found my groove when to write. So,
yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed writing that. I mean, I think everyone asks questions about, like, well, why is it scrubbing? Like, the skies look clear. And, like, it has nothing to do with it.
Absolutely. I remember there was one shuttle launch I went down for. It was at the NASA Causeway, sitting there. I think it was for STS-127 with Endeavour. It had plenty of those gup issues. That's a 4-letter word that a lot of people don't like to hear during shuttle when the tank was would leak. But I remember sitting there on the causeway, clear as could be, looking northeast, over the pads and over Endeavour. And then, of course, at T-minus 20 minutes, they start talking about the weather, and you look behind you, and it is storms.
Classic Florida. That is classic Florida.
And that was it. They were within like the 20 nautical mile. I think it had, it was an issue for an RTLS at that point. So it was scrubbed for the day, which during shuttle, I find incredibly disappointing, because that was always one heck of a show when it went.
When was your first launch? If you don't want to date yourself.
That was that was Discovery, STS-124. So I think we're kind of rolling back to like May 30 something, May something 2010.
That's long before I was
my
watching
first,
launches.
and at that point I only had access to the visitor complex.
Were you doing photography back then as well?
No, this was just all just as as a fan, a lover of at the time, pretty much it was just a space shuttle that you were able to follow.
When did you make that leap from like just viewer to photographer to like media? Like, when did that happen?
That's really happened over the past like 3-4 years, I think. It really, is getting older, doing well in my career, having a little bit more money to buy gear, buy, travel by myself and leave my spouse at home and come down for launches and, view like everyone else, from the river or where I could, especially like on, the 401 there. Where you used to be able to pull over in.
Oh yeah, I still have yet to be there, and I really want to one day. It's still beyond the weekend, but
in watch. So it was just kind of over time, and I think everything kind of grew organically. I had my Twitter handle for such. I think just right after Shuttle, I set up my Twitter handle, and it wasn't until a NASA social rolled around for ULA and Goes R. I'm just trying to remember what year that was, but it's when I really started to focus on creating content in going to events and engaging with folks, as to where I think I slowly started to make that shift into what I was doing and what I was covering and how I was covering it. And so I think really things just kind of happened organically through connections and relationships, for me being down there as often as I was, and meeting up with people and connecting with people. To, hey, now I'm a launch photographer for NASA space flights. I remember watching and reading all the coverage from NASA space flight when it was Shuttle. So it's always hard for me to kind of realize and believe, kind of that, it's come full circle, and I'm on the other side now. We're coming up to crew missions, to where, hey, I'm going to be a part of and telling that story. And I think that's amazing and incredible, because that's what's always fascinated me about it is that story that is to be told. If anyone has seen like my wall at home, all it is books on books, of Apollo and Mercury.
I think we all have those books, somewhere.
And anyone who talks about the story and their experience and their journey to launch, I love that, and I gravitate that. And some of the older ones, when it talks about Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral and talks about some of the landmarks, it just gives you a little bit more.
I get so excited going up there to the Cape. Like every time I go up there, there's like this feeling I get whenever I go. There's 2 cities in the country. I get this, like, maybe now 3 once I go back home where I grew up, but where I get this, like, I feel at home. There's Frankenmuth, Michigan, where my great grandparents came over here from Germany, and then when I drive around Cape Canaveral, I'm like, I feel like this is where I should be. Like,
I call KSC my happy place. I'm so.
It is my. I've used that term too. Like, I've used it so many times. I went up there. I've gone up there, I think, like 3 times without a launch, just chilling for like a weekend. I love driving around. I love, like, when you come down like Astronaut Boulevard and is it John Glenn Parkway? And there's like all these houses. I'm like, I want to live on John Glenn Parkway. Like, how cool is that to live on John Glenn Parkway?
And in Cape Canaveral, more recently over the past several months, you see more of the murals that are painted, around the town, celebrating Apollo 11. Anything from like a larger like telephone box, you see it painted, to celebrate Apollo. It's just it's so unique in its own. But I think what always sticks with me, I remember my very first time when I drove down into Titusville and pulled into one of the parks, and I saw Space Shuttle Discovery sitting there, all illuminated the night before launch, decked out in the Xeon lights.
For me, it was
I just remember getting so excited and seeing that for the first time. Like,
for me, the first time coming, I don't remember which highway it was, but there was it was a slight turn around these trees, and all of a sudden it's just the VAB just sitting there, and I'm like, that was my first time ever coming there. I was going to college in Orlando, decided like my last year. There's the cat. I love cats.
Yes.
Well, we're very cat friendly here. But yeah, like my first time ever going there, so I'm like, I'm gonna go there, just drive there. I think it was on a launch. Yeah, there was a launch. It was it's an Atlas. My first launch was Goes South.
Mm.
So
My first launch was a scrub that I couldn't stick around for. Mine was, y'all remember that infamous scrub December back in December of 2018? That one day where there was going to be like 4 worldwide launches and only one got off the pad that day. One of them
yeah.
was a GPS on a Falcon 9, and I saw it on a pad and everything. Just kept scrubbing. Like, damn. So I had to go back. My dad brought up a couple of times as a kid, like, hey, you want to go see a shuttle launch one day? I'm like, yeah, sure, but with how much he used to work and everything like that, we were never able to make it happen. And now fast forward like 20 something years, and here I am finally chasing the stuff down. My first time making a trip out there at all was back in 2018, and I mean, I wish I hadn't waited so long, but heck, you know, at least I got around to it. Period. Otherwise, I wouldn't
Exactly
be here.
right.
We wouldn't be
Yeah.
here talking. You
Yeah.
know, and the first time you actually see one go up, man, it's insane. I got crap for pictures on that one. That was
I have a
the-
beautiful picture of my first launch where it's completely out of focus, but some chick who's
Yeah.
standing right in front of me wouldn't focus because it was on my phone, so it autofocused on her and not the launch. And so that's my first picture. I think I've shown it a few times where like we all come from, not so great days.
my first one seeing and photographing was the Nusantara launch, because I've been in photography for a while, and I said, you know what, let me try my hand at getting rocket launches, see what I can do. I did the whole touristy thing. I went to the viewing sites, and even still, once it opens back up, I still will be going to the observation gantry at LC39, because I'm sorry, I think that's better than press. I really do. So I will be going to that as much as I can.
For those 2 pads. I would totally go there.
Oh yeah, but
as well.
That was the first time I ever got something good. It was the second to last single stick Delta, and you talk about the times, like those moments that actually stick with you. When like this is what you want to do. That was it. And it wasn't during the launch or anything like that. It was actually, how late at night after a launch, if you've seen one at KSC, when they're busing you back to the visitor center, like if you were at the gantry or at the Saturn V Center, it's late at night. They don't play one of those weird promo videos. They put on one of those like more quiet, chilled out videos. And they put on one of those middle of the night after that launch. Everybody's adrenaline is worn off. They're all smiles and everything. And you're just sitting there chilling, reflecting on what you just saw. And for me, that's when it hit me after that launch. I'm like, all right, I am in this. I am coming back here more often, and here we are.
Yeah, I got to admit, after my first shuttle launch, like I was in tears. It was just something, I had watched since I was 10 years old, and finally, here I was 15 years later, able to watch one. It was just an experience. It is an experience. It isn't something you see visually. It's something you hear. Depending on the wind direction, you certainly can feel a bit of that. It's just that light of the flame, regardless whether it's Falcon 9 or an SRB, is not the same through your eye as it is through the camera.
No, it's insane.
I'm still trying to figure out how for DM2 how to step back, because I'll be doing a live stream and taking photos, but I also I need to find time to just sit back and just enjoy it for a second. I have not had that tears moment yet, and I have a feeling it might be coming Wednesday.
Yes, it will be coming Wednesday for all of us.
You've probably seen some of the other clips or the photos of me doing the fist punching and some of the launches, and I've kind of learned with the couple of cameras that are set up, the telephoto and the wide angle, and letting the intervalometer do some of the initial work while I just stand there and take it in, because you need to take it in. It's that excitement only lasts for a good 2.5 minutes before you're kind of, it's gone and out of there.
See, I had to get on Seth about that, because we both saw
STP2.
It was STP2. Yep. We both saw it from the same spot, and I got the full video up on my YouTube, where after they separated and you get the giant Falcon Nebula happening, as everybody calls it, the whole crowd around us like, whoa, check that out. And
it was
I'm taking
it was pretty quiet. It was like
until
I have a video as well, which was a terrible video. It wasn't even pointed towards the launch, but I could listen to the audio of like you hearing and all you just hear Daryl goes like pay stop taking photos for a second, bring it in, and I'm like I am.
Yeah, I told him like, dude, look away from your camera for a second, let a couple of those stills go, and take this in with your own eyes. I even told my best friend and his wife to do that underneath a full eclipse back in 2017. It's those kinds of things you got to take in.
And I would recommend that to anyone who goes to a launch. Yeah, I get it. Grab a couple of photos, but there's the rest of us that are out there that are doing that to share. Enjoy it, experience the launch. They are meant to be experienced.
Yeah, you're one of the you and John and Trevor always like the three people I send links to. I'm like, listen, like I've had like people like DM me all the time where it's like what camera equipment, like what tripod, like I'm like, here's three links. Just enjoy it. Buy their prints. If you want prints, like buy these prints because they always like, I just want to get a really good picture of it. I'm like, here's three people. Just buy their stuff.
Speaking of really good pictures, Nathan, I'm looking at your Smug Mug page right now that you have linked on your Twitter. My God, dude, this is the kind of stuff where it does one of two things to people. It makes them pack up and go home, or it makes them get better. And for me, this is making me get better because I am not taking stuff nowhere near this level. But you're also able to set up pad remotes.
Every time
that's what a lot of these are.
Yeah. Even still, I think there's that opportunity, especially when you're at a distance and at night with the long exposure. There is such a creative element that you have available to you. At the press site, there is so much light from all the other news organizations going on and other people that often can really impact your ability to create some of those more dramatic, more creative compositions. And also you got to try to find that area, within the press site to be a little bit different than everyone else, which can be challenging to do that. And even more challenging, I think, is anything from, Slick 40. There only is the one spot really to set up each and every time. You can spread it around or, a little bit, but it creatively, it's I kind of look at myself and going, what am I going to do now that I haven't done?
Yeah.
Closer engine shots, like you gotta get closer, get on the RCS thrusters maybe, like
man,
throw a few
But all you need to do is keep practicing. And that's I'm someone who has learned through YouTube in the videos. When I picked up and I've always loved photography even as a kid. And again, once I got older and had more money to finally be able to afford a DSLR, I wanted to. My first goal was create star trails. That's where this all started. Was doing the long exposure star trail compositions, and I got my T6i and my wide angle 11mm lens, and I started to go from there. I still have lots to learn in regards to the intervalometer and getting that equipment and the battery length and to how I am set up now with my 7D, and I can do up to 8-hour shoots and the lens heaters at the do. So yeah, it's been a journey, and then learning how to edit that too.
Editing's fun. Editing's interesting. It's one of those things. I've been so scared of it for the longest time up until recently because I've had a lot of time on my hands like most people. So I said, you know what, let me go and do it. And there's some fireworks pictures here in New Orleans from this past New Year's. I left them alone because I'm like, man, there's so much smoke in these. There's so much crap in them. I can't share any of these. And finally, I went back and said, you know what? Let me fiddle with these. And sure enough, I pulled out some amazing stuff. And a couple of those prints sold.
Awesome.
Some friends of mine. I'm like, holy crap! It's good enough for you to buy. Sweet, So yeah, going back, learning that stuff. YouTube is a great resource. It really helped me out this past weekend making that killer intro video. Have we talked about the intro video yet?
Hey, I can right here, one button, I can play it again.
Well, hold on. We got an outro video too. That one was
Oh yeah,
much simpler.
yeah.
But no, YouTube has been an incredible resource for things that. So yeah.
I was lucky to live in Orlando, and it was like a 30. I was also on the east side of Orlando. So it was only like a 30-minute drive for me to get to the Cape. Which some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm like, yeah, 30 minutes. It was great.
Must be nice.
It was so nice for the time being, and then I moved to South Florida. Now it's like 3 hours. So
and probably hotter.
And tolls and everything. Yeah, it was much simpler back in Orlando.
But I feel so weird living, 1, 2, 3 states away, and I have a Florida toll tag in my Jeep. Like,
yep. Yeah, I got lucky. I'm like, trial and error. Like, I'm like, I come from the software software development process of like, you just try it. It breaks it, you just fix it. And I think I went to the DM1 was my first when I tried a streak, and that's where I wanted to get into streaks. Like I saw the Nathan streaks and John's streaks, and I'm like, I want to figure out how to do that. So, graduated from college, parents bought for my graduation gift, my parents bought myself the DSLR. Oh, DM1 went out there, absolutely murdered it, so badly. It was I forgot to change my aperture. But no, I get to go out there, like, trial and error. Just keep on going, trial and error. And I think it was ArabSat where I'm like, I'm going to try a streak for ArabSat. And I remember all of a sudden a person called Nathan Barker slid in my DMs. He goes, I don't think that's going to turn out the way you think it is. That was the first time. I'm like, oh, why not? I'm like, it's like 4 p.m. Like, it's not going to happen.
Well, I tell you what, learning streaks, learning how to do those, also paid off with other things too. It paid off helping me out with the fireworks. I mean, you don't do the exact same settings, but it helped out with that. It helped out with some of the astrophotography stuff. It applies to more than just rocket launches. It's crazy. So learning for this one thing helps you out with other things. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. And if you feel challenged or even down on yourself, like I've been through that and disappointed with the shoot, but then it's like, oh, what did I do? You know, there's lessons to be learned and to apply that. So it's always just trying to push yourself. And, you know, failure is okay. Failure is good. It makes you realize, you know, it's also part of that passion that you have for what you're doing. If you didn't feel failure, then you probably really don't care what you're doing either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like I told somebody on Twitter yesterday. It's like he said he wants to try launch photography, but he doesn't have a good enough camera and he sucks at it and whatnot. And I said, well, remember what Dave Grohl said when they started Nirvana? He's like, we're a bunch of guys, we got together and we sucked. And we kept getting together and we kept sucking until eventually we suck less and less. And then we got good. And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So,
and there's an amazing community out there. Everyone that you know that does launch photography to help and give advice. I guess, you know, kind of one thing that I've learned and to my takeaway, anyone who wants to get into it, is try to do as much research as you can as possible to what you think you need to do. Because to me, I believe that critical decision process and how you come to that result of your setting is so important. So you understand a little bit more of exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it before you actually go and do it. Because if it doesn't work out, then you have a better idea of like, oh, my theory didn't necessarily work out, or it was close. So let me just move the bar a little bit more this way, you know, with your ISO or your aperture to get that.
And I've also learned, take notes. Take notes on this stuff. Like, write the stuff down. Oh my god,
my first
it's amazing.
I did 3 attempts down here in Fort Lauderdale of launches. So I got lucky, and there was like 3 that were launching in east or southeast ish, so they were visible from Fort Lauderdale. And I'm like,
did you almost say New Orleans?
I almost said New Orleans. I was just gonna say New Lauderdale. I was gonna combine the two. But I was sitting there on my back patio, just like writing everything down, test, stop, look at it, write everything down again, change something, test, and then like when it was a Delta 4. It was a medium with the 2, and I was like, I did it, I could see it. I stopped and I looked. I'm like, I did it, and then I realized I had dust in my filter. Yay! You always realize something after that.
Well, we all got to make sure to have our gear ready for what's coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah,
tentatively, weather permitting.
Say, it's as we're almost halfway done, halfway into this, you want to get going into the news of the last week.
Let's talk about the one thing that everyone else is talking about. DM2, baby. It's here. It's time.
Packed full of DM2 stuff.
Yes. Yes.
I'll just start with on Wednesday. We had crew arrive at Cape Canaveral on a golf stream, which is exciting. No T38s, but exciting still.
Yeah.
But Julia got some great pictures. I had a heated discussion with the CEO of my company about the T38s. He's like, "Oh, they're terrible planes." I'm like, but they look so cool.
It's tradition. You don't argue with tradition.
Wait, time out. Why did he say the T38s are terrible?
Because he's a air nav geek, and he's like, yeah, the cost of maintenance on those things are terrible. I'm like, yeah, it's probably true. They're not very safe anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's probably true.
Okay, all right. When he puts it like that, sure.
He was like, oh, you really the Boeing training airplane, which totally like, oh no, they went with I don't remember what it was, but.
Back in the T-38's heyday, though, man, those things were freaking hot rods of the sky. The stories I've read about what they used to do in those things, oh man, I want one. If I hit the lottery, I am buying a T-38,
and you're gonna park it in your driveway. You're never gonna fly it.
I'll wash it every now and again.
All right. Wednesday we had crew arrive. They had a press conference on the It's the shuttle landing facility, but I swear I saw launch and landing facility on like the lower third during that press conference.
Yeah, they did. I saw that as well. I remember a couple of years there was that other device that they were doing like these landing tests.
Yeah,
Morpheus or something like that. So
okay,
there's a bit of a pad out there. So.
Is it? Oh, is a pad? Like a launch pad?
It's like this little concrete area where it would, go up a couple hundred feet and come back down again.
Okay. So I saw that and I'm like, are they rebranding it as the launch and landing facility for like? I was going through all my head. I'm like, Virgin Orbit can launch from there. Virgin Galactic, Stratolaunch. I'm like, who can all take off from there? But yeah, that was weird. But so Wednesday had that. When was this? Next day or the day or same thing, I think on Wednesday, Go Searcher went out to the Gulf, which for the in case of it's a once around abort to orbit, and then land in the Gulf side.
AOA, abort once around. If we're using shuttle terminology,
I don't know what I'm always gonna use shuttle terminology. Come on,
what?
Yeah. We're gonna figure a way for them to do a return to launch site abort.
I got the big giant book behind me. I can go look it up. Might take a while.
Don't bring that book out.
God, thank you. It's heavy. Nathan, you ever seen that book?
I can't quite see it.
Space Shuttle Developing an Icon, the big 3-volume book. Oh man,
books.
It's only like $60 on Amazon, but they get you on shipping because it's like 15 pounds. It's heavy, but it is chock full of stuff. Like the first 2 books alone are the development. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's great. You got to check it out.
Oh gosh, you guys. Daryl with his book. Daryl loves that book.
I will throw the link in chat
every time.
If anyone else is interested.
We had So Thursday, Friday they had their flight readiness review. Right, flight safe, FFR, whatever, FRRR,
readiness review.
Oh, 169.
One of those 3-letter acronyms that they like to use. So they had that. It got signed off on Friday. They had another press conference, I believe. And then we got Stagfire in the afternoon on Friday. I'm using a lot of Julia's pictures because she just got great pictures of all this stuff.
Yeah, that is a great picture that she took of,
trying to think of where she was.
An undisclosed location.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm trying to think about where it was, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just go with undisclosed. That's probably a better answer than what I was going to say.
There's been a number of undisclosed locations lately I've been trying to figure out.
Location. Steven's at an undisclosed location. Yeah. A lot of undisclosed locations this launch.
I know where that was at.
It's gonna be fun after this launch to then guess and where everyone was based off their pictures. See, now that's gonna be a game.
But we probably still can't talk about it.
Oh,
we'll know, but we can't talk about it publicly.
Yep. So then, when they brought, when did it go vertical? It went vertical Thursday.
Something like that.
Thursday morning, I believe it went vertical.
And as soon as it went vertical, and they said it was gonna be vertical for a few days, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be satellite images of this thing. Like,
And there you go.
And there was one, and I'm like, the craziness that is now 39A. Like, it's been a while since I've driven out there, and we were talking about this before the show. All the stuff that is at 39A, like down to even like the tents they have set up, which I don't even know what those are for. Like,
temporary construction. It's what it is. They're construction tents.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that's what they're probably building stuff. But there's stuff on the other side, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, that when you realize how big the landing pad for Starship is, like the size of the horizontal integration facility. It's huge.
There, yeah.
It's pretty much the same size, and that's pretty large. They have as well as the launch mount, or the start of the launch mount for Starship, which I think Chris G's mentioned that it's the size of the concrete on 39 from the launch pad.
Jeez.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty tall.
It's huge. Yeah, I mean, I've been on 39B before. There we go. Messing around with my stream deck I just have. I've been hitting buttons on accident the entire time. I've been like hitting buttons on accident. I'm like, what am I hitting? I've been on 39B, and that is, it's freakish. It's freakishly tall.
Must be nice to have visited either the 39s or
every time I gotta bring it up. We have a running Nathan. We have a joke that that Daryl doesn't get to go to socials because he either declines them or
all right.
It's scrubs or he goes.
So I won't tell you, about walking the flame trench at 39B as well. Just thinking about that,
It's whatever. It's old.
Nathan, you're our guest. You get a pass on talking about it. Seth does not get a pass. My story is that the very first social I applied for got waitlisted, never got off of it. Since then, got turned down every time. And then the one for the state of NASA comes up earlier this year. I turned it down because I got accepted to the one at Stennis where Jimmy B was going to be at. And I turned Jimmy B. I'm trying not to say the catchphrase because I don't feel like pounding that full beer. And I turned it down because I was planning on being at Solar Orbiter. Well, Solar Orbiter didn't happen. Then I changed my travel plans to go to Wallops for an Antares launch that was supposed to happen earlier in the day. Didn't happen. Watched Solar Orbiter from a hotel in Maryland, right by Wallops, and then, sure enough, State of NASA happens the next day. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to visit Discovery. I did. I went and visited my old friend Discovery.
I mean, fine, you got that on me. I have not seen Discovery, so.
Oh man,
Seth.
I've seen Atlantis. I mean,
any of us that go out to the Cape to photograph this stuff,
okay.
If you haven't seen Atlantis, shame on you.
At that point, it's you.
Atlantis is a given. Come on, Atlantis is a given.
It is. Like, I'm always thinking in my head. Like, I've had this plan for probably about like a year and a half now. Whenever I can own a Tesla, like once I pay off my student loans in 10 years or something like that, I'd say, why do you gotta pout like that, man? Why you gotta be all salty?
Because of Harry.
what Harry? Oh, okay. Well,
dang it, Harry.
Drink. All right.
Yeah, just drink, not pound it.
Yeah, we don't need to pound it. Was to go literally to every single aerospace museum. Like, take 3 months sabbatical and go drive across the entire country, hit every single museum. That would be fun. That would take a look. I can see the look on Nathan's face of like, I don't know if I want to do that.
I mean,
but also I think you secretly do.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I mean, shame on me. All the times I've been going to Kennedy Space Center between now and December of 2018, I've skipped the one in Pensacola. I've skipped visiting the USS Alabama, which was really fun as a kid. I've even skipped going to Disney World. I still have not seen the new Star Wars park.
I have not seen the new Star Wars park either.
Shame on you, because you live in Florida.
Well, it was under discussion when I lived in Orlando, and I had an annual pass. And then I moved, and tickets are expensive.
Yeah, those tickets are expensive.
It's like $75 for annual pass at Kennedy, or like
75.
Is it 75? I don't remember how much.
I've been getting hosed.
Like
I don't remember.
125, 150. I forget. Yeah,
it's about that. But the crazy thing is, at KFC, you walk in the park twice. It pays for itself, so that's perfect.
Oh yeah, it's the price of 2 tickets, pretty much. Or like it's like $200 some for like a 1 day, or like for like I can't remember what it is for Disney. Like it's expensive. Like I'm gonna go with Kennedy. Yeah. I'll use that way more. But oh wait, what was I gonna say? Oh, there's a museum. I just haven't gone to it yet. It's the Navy SEAL Museum.
Ooh, that sounds.
It's on the coast of it's on the coast of Florida. Like I pass a sign every single time I go to the Cape. And I'm like, I really need to stop and go there.
How did the Navy SEALs have a museum? Like, is it a museum of just black bars of redacted files? Is that it?
That's probably what it is. I don't even know. I don't think they're stationed in Florida anymore, but I think they were founded in Florida. So, continuing on with the DM2, pretty picture from Elon Musk of
that was gorgeous.
The meatballs on worm.
I can't believe they did that.
Meatball next to flag on top of meatball on top of flag on top of meatball on top of flag on top of.
I can't believe they did that on the second stage.
I mean,
after liftoff, you're never gonna see that again. And he did it on both sides.
What? Well, I know on the other side that says SpaceX, they have the Falcon logo instead of the meatball. I'm not sure if it is on the. I'm not showing it on my screen right now, Daryl. You don't have to put it in your face.
No, I'm looking at the YouTube stream.
Yeah. Oh, is there? Oh, what's this? What is this? Oh, okay. This was Chris being all happy about the RSS stuff. Okay, never mind. We were rotating server structure. He's all excited. Let's see. Oh yeah, all these will load. They did a full-on dry rehearsal on Saturday to get all that ready. You see more worm on the. This is actually I love this. Like the worm on the suit.
It works. Whoever does the graphic design for SpaceX, whatever they're paying them, it ain't enough, because that's
they need a raise.
The placement, the size of it, everything. That's just perfect, man.
I like the name on the shoulder, and the other side says SpaceX below the meatball, and then the one thing did it. What do you, Nathan?
Where was that picture taken? Is that on the fixed service structure?
I believe
that's the FSS.
Yeah, I believe that's on the tower with the worm behind as well.
On the back, and it's like that's
dude. That worm is gonna get shaken off the wall.
When Jim said the worm would show up in places, he was not lying. The worm showed up in places.
He was not kidding.
He was not lying one bit. Did shuttle astronauts have their mission patch on their flight suit?
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
That's what the one thing I'm thinking is missing. They don't have the mission patch. But also, which mission patch? Would it be the crew patch or would it be the SpaceX patch? It would be the crew patch.
I don't know.
Go with the crew patch.
I would go with the crew patch, but also, who doesn't love a massive space fish eating the ISS?
Not our words.
Did you see
that?
Did you see that tweet, Nathan?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, Scott Manley ruined us. He tweets out the picture of he retweets the tweet of the SpaceX patch, and he says it's a giant space fish eating the ISS.
Yep.
And I'm like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's impossible. I would find it, but I'm on. It's take too long. Well, wrap it unscheduled. Let's go. I'll find it.
Yeah. Here we go.
Scott Manley, hold up. I got this. Let's ruin this for everyone. Scott Manley. Oh, come on.
Now, I was gonna say something, but I'll save it for when we talk about it, because we do plan on talking about it in a little bit.
No, I'm curious.
This is gonna be holding up the works.
I'm holding up. This is rapid unscheduled. What do you mean? We're unscheduledly going to ruin everyone's thoughts about the crew patch. Here it is.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it. Giant space fish swallows ISS. Ooh. Tell me you can't see it. It's forever.
I'm waiting for the stream to get there. It is.
Oh, there Someone did a realistic version. Like they did a whole design of it. Actually, like I guess a realistic version of it all. And I'm like, and it still looks like it. It still looks like it's a space fish.
Yeah, I remember seeing this, but I didn't see the fish in it yet. But this now ruins it.
Yeah. Nom nom nom.
Oh no, I still want it. Just now, I want it now more, just because of that. Yeah, so they did a whole dry dress rehearsal. They got in the ISS bound Model X's, which they got in the same Model X.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they have two?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're not. Also,
because they can.
It's valid.
Because they can.
I wish I could find that. I don't know where that. I'm not gonna go search around for this picture, but there's a picture of Doug and Bob, and it's Bob that just looks like he looks like a kid on a 6-hour road trip, just wanting to get out.
I know what it looks like. I know the picture you're talking about. He just has this look on his face like it's been one of those 6-7 hour road trips, and Grandma says, "Look, I'm gonna take a picture."
And then you just look over and just, I'm hot. I've been in this car for too long. I need to pee.
I tell you what, even those suits, man, those suits look comfortable than the ones of the old days, though. They really do. You know, that's something I want to bring up too. I've thrown this around on Twitter a couple of times. It's like, all right, big old SpaceX, Tesla, Elon stuff. Cool. You're using Model X's to bring these guys out there. Cool. Y'all aren't using FSD and just driving them both out there like that. Especially given everything going on with the pandemic, that's one less person you can have around them. All right. Well, suits like those with how much it looks like they're more mobile in those suits compared to the other ones. Why can't they just drive themselves? I mean, these guys are military test pilots. They're
I'm sure they can figure it out.
I'm sure they know how to drive a goddamn car.
Well, you want to give them some time to relax. Like,
yeah,
you go to space. Like,
they gotta drive
be driven out in style. Like, I don't know. I did my video there of John Glenn, and they called it the NASA transfer van, but it was literally a transport truck trailer to which he walked into. And you would know back then for all of the, air conditioning and any, computers that they would have, whether they're hooked up, they would need all of that room to support him and the people that were in there to keep it cool.
But I don't know if the new flight suits are. If you just look at them, the orange suits they looked fine when they walked out, but maybe they weren't fully pressurized when they walked out. But
they were meant to pressurize, I believe, and somebody catch me if I'm wrong. I believe they were meant to pressurize, in case of emergency.
Though they weren't fully pressurized when they went out there.
No, I mean, they're baggy as hell.
That's what I was thinking.
They still need to put the gloves on. Like those gloves were actually linked in.
Yeah.
And the same with the helmets.
Mm-hmm.
So once they closed and locked their visors, when they were suited, strapped into the shuttle, they could then pressurize their suits if they wanted to or needed to. Especially, I think if they were sitting there for a long period of time, like before ISS, you would get 2.5 hour launch windows.
Oh yeah, and also
it took
they were
a while to strap them in, so you may have 3+ hours of the commander and pilot sitting on their backs.
Yeah, and they were also nice. There was I don't remember what seat it was. I think it was the final seat that they would ever strap someone in if they was in it, because it was the most uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So they would strap everyone else in, and then the last guy would sit for he would sit there for a while until last possible minute before they strap him in, and then he's in there again for just I don't know how many hours before. That's one thing we're going to talk about too. I want to talk about is the difference between the DM2 timeline and the shuttle timeline, because they're drastically different.
Yes, they are.
Let's. just talking about feeling, they're drastically different. Once they're fueled up, long beforehand.
I mean, there's so many similarities and so many differences. I mean, you go back to the suits. I mean, look at these suits that they're wearing now. They're nice and they fit like a tuxedo. Like they look really sharp and sexy. Like I want one just to wear out.
Hey, we have the jackets.
But those.
Okay,
great job on them, Tim. But
Tim, you did a great job. But oh my gosh, they sweat.
Yes, they work a little too well. But like you compare those to the pumpkin suits of the shuttle days. I mean, those pumpkin suits look like a bunch of kids who went and raided their dad's closet.
Hey, orange suit good.
Orange suit good.
Orange suit good.
But they're so baggy. They look like they're wearing a dad's clothes. Like, I'm an astronaut.
The finish out, I think all the stuff that's happened in the past week. Of course, I Still Love You, towed by Hawk, who came in just in time back in the port to be able to tow it out. I think if anyone but Hawk went out there, I would veto the launch. I think Hawk is the only one who should be allowed the tow, Of Course I Still Love You, for this mission.
You saying Hawk's a good omen?
If anyone's going to do it, it should be Hawk. So, Julia got a good picture of that. Another picture from Julia, because she's great. And then, what was this? This is today they had the launch readiness review, and they are go.
They are, yeah.
Yes. Another launch readiness review. So,
yes. Followed by a, I don't know if you'd call it a it's a press teleconference that they had today afterwards.
That was, I missed most of it. I was busy setting stuff up beforehand. I got into it
before it started, and man, that was awkward. All the weird sound effects that play on teleconferences, the automated recordings and things like that, you had one just on repeat. Press 1 for this, or some kind of Plantronics ad, or not an ad, but like instruction recording about testing the volume of your stuff. It's like, God, can somebody stop this?
Wait, it was annoying.
Yeah, there was no end to that. And then it ends. And then you hear the NASA switchboard operator taking a call from somebody. You hear only one side of it. This reminded me of the Antares launch from earlier this year.
Oh, I was gonna say that reminded me of listening like the full 12 hours of Apollo 11 back for the 50th, because you have scenarios like that where everything's recorded.
Oh yeah.
Except for the other end of telephone calls. So you hear someone taking a phone call, and you just hear one end of it, and it still reminds me of the one part where a guy woke up late, and so they called him, put it on like speaker, apparently. I guess it had speaker, I guess, and put it over the entire launch control, and they were like, you just hear, huh? Hey, coming to work? We got a pretty big mission to do.
I need to go back and find that. That's funny.
It's like, oh, yeah, I woke up late. I'm eating breakfast right now. It's like, yeah, all right, we'll see you in a little bit. Make sure to brush your teeth. And then they hung up.
Wow. I need to go find that.
It's like one of the best parts of that. I was just laying in bed. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, I think. And I'm just all of a sudden like laughing hysterically from that. But yeah, that was weird. It was kind of weird listening to that, because you think 50 years later the people in that room would know that we're listening to everything they're saying?
No way.
It was a little. I'm like, at my points, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep now. Wake up in the morning when all this random stuff is over. So, do you want to talk about what you want to talk about from the press
conference? There is a pressing question that was asked at this press conference earlier today. It ended a little bit before the show, not right before the show, a little bit before, maybe like an hour or so, something like that.
No, it was sooner. It was one of the last. It was probably like the last 4 questions, I think.
It was kind of toward the end. Seth and I were both listening at the same time. He missed it. He got distracted, shiny things, and somebody, I forget who it was, asked a really important question. They were asking about the restroom facilities on the Dragon capsule,
which we're all curious about. Curious about. And
you know what? Hans dodged the question. He didn't just dodge it. He shot it down. He's like, I am not answering that. I'm not answering that, or however you say it in a German accent.
I love
Hans is great. Hans is great. But it's one of those things. It's like, well, they're not telling us about the toilet on the Dragon. I sure hope they at least told Bob and Doug about it. That would be really awkward if they did.
It wasn't that I wasn't. It's not like I wasn't interested before. I'm now interested because he dodged the question.
I tell you what, if anybody wants a great explanation, I mean a really, really in detail explanation about the toilet on the space shuttle and basically a lot of other things, restroom related as it applies to spaceflight, check out Mike Mullane's book, Riding Rockets.
Yes.
And actually, a side note to that, his son just put out a book as kind of like a follow up to his dad's work about what it was like being a child of a space shuttle era astronaut. And I haven't read it yet, but he promises it is just as crazy and funny as his dad's book. So I plan to check that out. I prefer an audiobook because I always catch up on my books driving to and from KSC, but I'll take a textbook in this case because I'm really looking forward to getting that one. So check those out.
Yeah, yes. Riding Rockets, it is such a great book and
yes.
great story. There's such a human element that is communicated, in that story of space flights that, when I put that book down, it's feeling like you just like lost a friend.
Yeah.
You weren't going to see anymore. That's how much I enjoyed that book. And, there's been talk about Bob and Doug being at the beach house and Mike talks about the beach house.
Mm-hmm. He does.
No, does he? I haven't read that.
And he talks about it as well, like I believe like being there with Judy Resnick for like another mission sort of thing. So there's there's a lot of history. Like I said, there's a lot of heart and that human element to the space flight. So
and he caught a lot of flack for that book too. He caught a lot of flack for it, but I appreciate the honesty of it. Don't lie to me. Show me what this stuff is like. Tell me what the stuff is really like.
Now I really need to read it because I've read. I've been saying this I think for the past ever since we started this podcast. I'm reading Gene Cernan's biography. I'm almost done with it.
No, you're not. At this point, you're not.
The thing is, I haven't been reading it. That's why it hasn't changed. I will be reading it on Wednesday though because I'll have plenty of time.
Yes.
That's usually when I read it. I read it when I go to launches, and I haven't gone through a launch in a long time.
I know.
I believe he talks about the beach house, but that's from a completely different era where wives didn't come to the cave before launches. Yeah, and he talks about the Astro Bunnies, which I just love as a great term. But that book is also there's points in there where he's pretty honest, and it's kind of like, oh, that's what happened. Interesting. It's like I can see that why they do that. So for lineups for Wednesday, I have I couldn't find anyone pretty much anything better than what Tim Dodd did. He did a whole video on it. So he put out a article with the down to the minute second like we usually get for these launches, plus all the added in stuff for the crew, which is interesting that it starts at this point. T-minus 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds.
Yeah. You couldn't do that like once. Well, inertia. Oh,
it's an inertial, so that's probably why it's on a second. Like any human thing would be probably an hour.
Oh, you have that. If it's one of those like crew starts suit up at 4:59:59, it's like really to the second. Come on, man.
When you go over, I love every so often clicking on a link and it going to the older NASA websites where they're not. They're not being updated anymore. I found
Did you see where NASA put out like a new webpage or something like that, and they're talking about all kinds of stuff for DM2, and then it mentions Space Shuttle. They literally copied and pasted and forgot to change Space Shuttle to DM2 or Dragon Capsule.
Nice.
Whatever the context was.
Nice.
It was right
there's even better websites on this you can find. You can find there's one where it's when they've started. I don't remember when they started doing it. It wasn't since STS1, but every shuttle for a bit, they've logged everything pretty much, and you can just click on the different missions, and then like for the ISS they did the same thing for like every day, what happened, what music was played, for Wake Up. Like,
dude, Harry just said that in chat, talking about Wake Up times and music and things
Yeah,
like that.
and then
That's
what
great.
song they played, and there's a few other like really that's the song. Okay. But if you go to the shuttles, they start their thing starts at T-minus 43 hours.
Yep.
It was a long countdown in process. Obviously the shuttle itself, with its size, there was a lot of payload and storage and final loads, that would go into it. Whether, obviously the cargo bay doors would be closed before going into count, but so many other times, like the scientific experiments that were in the racks inside the crew cabin would be part of late loads and the ordnance, installation and readiness, and just look, with the way the fixed service structure and the rotating service structure was.
And of course, that thing ain't moving fast after you load that. It's not going fast.
Oh no, and it's one of those things. It's not mentioned. You don't hear it, thrown around as much anymore today. But isn't the space shuttle still kind of? I mean, I don't know how you measure this, but isn't it still considered the most complicated piece of engineering, like, in history, still to this day?
I would probably see it possibly doing that. That or the ISS.
Just because of it, not necessarily from a technological standpoint, but just like every little component you had to put into this thing, make sure it works right, does its thing, across the entire orbiter, across the entire stack, ground service equipment, everything like that. I could see it still holding that title. For sure.
The thousands of miles of wire, simply alone that were in it, and getting into the layers of the orbiter to prevent electrical currents from running through it. That there is that thin plastic, almost like chicken wire, that is also layered in that as well to prevent any electrical discharge from going from one layer of protection to the next layer. Like, so many things that had to be thought of for that just simply blow your mind, that you would have never thought about ever existed or being an engineering problem. But of course, when you have a space flight or a spacecraft, you have to have so many redundancies in being able to support a crewed vehicle like that. It always blew my mind when you get into the detail.
Oh yeah, it still does. Still does, for sure. For sure.
I'm trying to find where exactly. When does the crew for DM2? When did they depart for the rocket? T-minus 3 hours 15 minutes is when they depart. And for shuttle, they would. It was actually really close. So T-minus 3 hours they would depart the operations.
And that makes sense. A lot of times shuttle, you had, 5 to 7, crew members. So that would take a little bit longer in time to get everyone strapped in. And then I think before as well, when it came to ISS missions, of course, they went a little sooner than they did, for normal counts, because of the shorter window that they had to work with. And they had changed the shuttle count over time to help support ISS missions as well. I think to where the T-minus 9-minute hold used to be 10 minutes prior to ISS missions, and then getting into ISS missions, it was then pushed out to something like a 40-minute hold. It was extended to give the launch teams more time to catch up in any activity.
This is like an overview of, I guess, like every launch of like what could possibly happen. You have it's like T-minus 43 and counting, 27 hours and holding, 27 hours and counting, 19 hours and holding. Like, there's so many. And you get down all the way to the bottom at T-minus 0, and it says solid rocket booster ignition and liftoff with a single exclamation point. That's a very that's a big understatement for an exclamation point. You should,
considering the forces involved, one exclamation point is
even just reading this article, you deserve at least 3. Like,
yes.
You deserve to have a little enthusiasm at the end of that.
But man, those holds, as a kid, like, my parents used to like wake me up like early in the morning or something like that, because I've always been a late sleeper. They would wake me up in the morning, or they even kept me home from school to watch a shuttle launch on TV. That's how awesome my parents were about this. And when they hit that planned 40-minute hold, they used to piss me off as a kid. I used to hate that. I mean, I didn't know any better, and for me, at that age, the passage of time is like, this is taking forever. Why are they in a hold for this long? But yeah, that used to piss me off as a kid. Now I get it, though. Now I get it. Now it's nothing.
Right, and that's really the difference between like your launch minus and your T minus.
Mm.
Yeah. Which is always something like, yeah, people are like, I see also in the, like, because I'm a YouTube member for NSF, so I'm in the NSF Discord. And you see, it's great to see all the different people have like the T minus and the L minus, like down the thing.
Yeah.
They're very excited in that Discord for that launch.
Yeah.
We can get, so talking about Wednesday and all the things that go into a launch, the thing we all hate the most is weather, which we talked about it in the beginning. Currently, we're at 60%, which I think I've been to so many launches at 60%. So it's not bad. You still got 40% chance.
Hey, look at SCS-135, Atlantis', the shuttle's last launch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was something like a 90 or 95% chance of bad weather that it was not going to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where timing then becomes so important and critical, of threading the needle to orbit that, hey, a weather system could move a little bit slower, could move faster, not develop as strong, be pushed out. There's so many variables in play. And all you really do is just need to be within those certain limits and parameters, within those certain time periods and flight path, and you're able to launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, they said in the press conference earlier today, if they had to put out a forecast right now, they would bump it up to 50-50. And look at what ULA just did in their most recent launch. They did a presumptive go?
No, let's not talk about that. I don't want that happening. That would be terrible.
No, and he talked about that as well. Yeah. They're not going to pick up the count and go through down, and then hold. That,
right.
They'll be making that decision. I think what they say prior to boarding of the crew and to when they need to arm the abort system. So we got a good 40 some odd minutes before launch. We'll probably have a good idea.
Honestly, if they were gonna make a decision about that, I wish they would make a decision now because
they would make a decision like in the morning. Could that be a thing arranged? Because that would be
maybe
nice.
Midday tomorrow. Maybe midday tomorrow.
Or the night
I could deal with that.
Before I pick up my rental car, could they do that so I can cancel?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wait, no, I would have to need that tonight. Dang it! I'll still get charged.
Man.
Dang it,
man.
All right.
Well, it'll still be a fun trip.
Did they just boost the recovery weather the moderate? Wasn't it low yesterday?
That changed, yes.
Oh.
Is booster? Do we know if booster recovery is critical?
Well, I've had this debate with somebody, I forget where, but if you think about it, the booster recovery is kind of along the same line as a recovery in case of abort. So you want that abort recovery condition to be okay, which automatically makes the recovery condition okay.
Well,
theoretically. I say that with an asterisk.
Maybe, yeah. But I'm assuming SpaceX wouldn't throw away this booster.
Oh no, this booster's going into...
Nathan's being quiet down there.
This booster's like going to a museum or something. It belongs in a museum.
Yeah, the thing is, this thing shouldn't get reused. I don't think it should be. My personal opinion, it should just go in the rocket garden.
But here's the other thing, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe NASA has said they're still not comfortable with flying humans on a reflown booster.
Yeah.
So are they just going to be burning through boosters and whatnot? Like, I
don't think so. Nathan, do you know, or?
I don't know, but I would suspect that these boosters could be reflown on
on a
commercial
crew. I mean, a cargo Dragon mission going that way. We've seen that many times before, where a study is supported a cargo mission. So I can see that then happening, because you see a lot of repeats in regards to what's flown and from SpaceX towards a customer.
Yeah, they're only launching...
I'm just speaking from the sorry to cut you off, Seth. I'm just speaking from the thought of you're gonna have this giant stockpile of boosters, and
I don't think
not enough use for them.
I don't think they're going to be launching crew that often though, because they have to share it as well with Boeing when Boeing comes online, plus with Soyuz.
When or if? I'm sorry.
Okay, so maybe next year they'll have to start sharing it with Boeing, but but they're probably going to be at max 2 launches a year, when Boeing. I mean, they're gonna be launching hopefully two this year.
Yeah.
And then
I guess when you do the math, you don't have a big stockpile stocking up.
I'm not sure what the actual details on the contract, how many they're launching a year. I'm not sure if it's one or two, but
and you gotta assume some loss too, because I mean you'll still lose a Falcon 9 booster every now and again. Look at
and we're gonna be losing, and of course we haven't finished called a center core, so
yeah.
Well, we're not gonna be. These won't be going to the center core, but you know.
That's a completely different core.
Whenever we finally get a center core landed.
But I don't think the ghost of Booster 1046 has been fully exercised yet.
You and your conspiracy theories with the ghost.
The ghost of 1046 is a real thing.
Of course.
Nathan, have you heard about that yet?
No, I guess maybe that's
my.
Dare I ask?
The ghost of 1046. 1046 was the booster used for IFA, and it was intentionally murdered. It's not like it was lost on accident like some of these other failed landings.
It was murdered for science.
It was murdered. And the ghost of it is still around. It's taken its vengeance. Look at the next two missions after IFA. They both lost the booster. The ghost of 1046 is a real thing. I was thinking about dressing up as a costume for Yuri's night before it got canceled. Just Ghost of 1046 is real.
I just have a feeling that like Elon had to sit down with the booster and he's like, listen, I know you're looking forward to being reflown and having a long life, but for science,
they stripped it and murdered it. They took off all the landing hardware.
I know you got attached to your new shoes, but we're gonna have to take them and give them to someone else.
But that was one heck of a show.
That was great. Still, I don't. Oh man, it's up there for one of my favorite launches. Though
actually, that video, the video that I got of it is in our intro video.
Yep. I have. You should add my video from my GoPro that got the second stage.
Send it, buddy. Send it.
It's on Twitter, buddy. I think it's on Twitter.
We'll talk after.
I don't know. Maybe it's not on Twitter. I think it's on YouTube. But,
so we're at the point where we're just ready to go.
For DM2, yes. We're all ready to go. For DM2, we want it to happen. We want to launch.
We're all going to be teary-eyed and I don't know. I'll be too busy working on pictures and
I don't. Yeah, I'm just scared. I'm not gonna take it in, and I'm gonna forget, and it's gonna be like the 2 minutes after. I'm like, oh, dang it!
I'll take it in when I can't find it in my camera viewfinder anymore.
Can't wait for that beautiful haze. That's what we're gonna get, unless
I might get lucky. I can't say where I'm gonna be yet.
Undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location.
Yes.
Man, so IFA was a great. Nathan, you were at press site, right, for that?
I was, yeah.
Oh.
Dude, you got to go on the you went on with the Starfleet like the day before, right? Was that when you got that picture of beach house?
No, that was for another mission. That was for where I went out during the rollout.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
On Starfleet.
Actually, Nathan, you were at the press site for IFA. I gotta ask, which was louder? The roar of the Falcon 9 or the roar of everybody screaming when it went behind a cloud and they wouldn't be able to see the booster blow up?
That's a really good question. But I think the roar when everyone heard like the explosion, and that was a loud sound. And
that was
loud.
A sound that went through you. And you're just like, this thing is well and gone, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And you're hearing it the way you were. Because there wasn't much sound then, and like to feel it. And then you see the second stage drop, you know, the way it was and how fast it was dropping. That was, you know, and everyone's cheering and like, oh my God, like watching this and in reaction. Like that was one of the most exciting launches.
Yes.
I've experienced, you know, it's right up there with Falcon Heavy and watching the landings. And then that bloody explosion when it hit the ocean and that huge cloud.
You don't even want to know.
What are we experiencing?
Because we were on Starfleet for that. You don't want to know how close we were to that second stage. If I would have, I didn't, and we were sitting on the boat, one were like bobbing and like I don't know how you guys all did it. I was hopped up on sea leg medication, sea leg enhancers, and Julia. I'm like, I grew up on Coast Guard ships. Like, I should like going around the Lake Michigan. I should be fine. I'm sitting there in the front of the boat with my camera, like holding it like a baby, rocking with the ship. Like,
I was holding my gear like a baby because I didn't want anything to happen to my gear. I wasn't worried about my personal safety.
It was the only thing. It was like the nice, like the cold metal on the edge of the lens. Like, this feels good. And Julia just looks up, and is like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I'm gonna need the medication now." She's like, "Okay."
That was such a fun
man.
trip. That was such a fun mission because I don't know if we'll ever see a mission as completely off the wall crazy as that.
Unless Boeing does an in-flight abort, yeah, I don't think we will.
No, they're done with.
Yeah,
they're done with that.
I think they're done with that too. I don't think ULA will be okay with seeing their booster blow up.
They have a record to maintain.
Toei wasn't a big fan of them seeing it blow up in The Martian, so you remember him tweeting about that. Like, yeah, we weren't happy about that one. And
it actually in The Martian, the liftoff was an Atlas, but the breakup was, I forget exactly which one. It was a much older launch vehicle before it was ULA.
It was
It might have been like an older Delta.
Was it an Atlas? No, never mind. I don't remember.
Maybe it was not an Atlas V as we know it today. So
yeah, I don't remember.
ULA, your record is still intact. Whether
even in fictional.
Even in fiction, your record is intact.
Yeah, no, I think the only mission that's going to beat out IFA is the first landing of a starship. Because that's like first, I'm like, there's a pretty good chance of it not coming down that's just right, and it's gonna be hard to miss.
Well, I better get ready to make some trips to Texas for that one.
There's no way everyone's gonna miss out on that because there's gonna be so many people coming to Boca Chica. Like,
as if it ain't hot enough here in Louisiana.
Coming to that. If they do, I mean, yeah, I'm assuming they're gonna do that. The flip maneuver. I'm assuming flip maneuver. Is that what it's called? It's the flip maneuver.
Oh, the kickback maneuver.
Kickback. Yeah. Is that? I'm assuming the first time they're gonna do that is at Boca Chica. I feel like NASA would be like, no, let's not do that here. Let's not do that on 39A. Can you please not? But speaking of things, we were all excited for today's attempt of launch.
Yes, a very exciting...
I've never been glued to flight radar more than I have today. Watching Virgin, it's OBT 01 was this? I think it's call sign.
I don't know what it was. That's your thing. Looking at the flight radar.
Not my thing. That's my first time doing it today. But yeah, Virgin Orbit had a attempt of their first demo launch of Launcher 1, and did not do well.
So close.
I did see a tweet. They did make a tweet earlier that their goals for this was to get like the whole countdown done, their racetrack entry pass through, have like apparently the rocket knows when it's in that zone, the launch.
It's become aware. I tried really
hard.
Our
rocket's now becoming like aware of the outside world, because that's scary now.
I fought really hard to not make a Skynet reference on Twitter.
And I think, they wanted to have a clean release, and I think ignition was what they were hoping for.
They did have the ignition,
and they had all of that. So we can all mop this up as this is a success. And
I thought they were just trying to go all the way.
They were just trying to see what. I think they were just trying to see what happened. Let's be honest. Like, let's see if it launches. Like, it's the first time it's launched, and it suffered an anomaly shortly after ignition, and it terminated. So, sadly, we're never going to see this. Sadly, this is never going to come out to be public. As soon as I saw the term, I'm like, well, we're not going to see that video. So, did they what?
Harry said in chat, and I just went and looked it up, that Virgin put out a photo of ignition.
What? Is it down here?
Do you see it?
Is this it? I don't know. Is this it? No, that's a GIF. I want to see it now.
GIF.
I hate you.
I know.
I hate everything you stand for.
Is that a video of it happening? Oh, no, there was
Okay.
they put up a link to a webpage and it has an image of it.
Oh, okay. Okay, we have an image. So that's good.
We have an image, yes. Would you like me
now,
to share it?
No, I got it. I'm on it. Now do we get to speculate?
He doesn't trust me.
We get to speculate. I have my finger on the home button. Oh, sorry, not the home button. On the my desktop button the entire time. We're like on the home because now that we use Zoom, I can't control the sharing of what you share on screen. If you just share something, I have to like go to a different screen so it doesn't show up.
Excuses. He doesn't trust me.
So now I don't trust you anymore.
And he's wise not to.
Now we get to speculate what happened after this picture was taken. Did they bomb the Pacific, or did it blow up?
I'll tell you what, regardless, they got to ignition and then it terminated after. I haven't read the article. They got an article with it. But...
Yeah, I just read the one tweet where they listed off all the things they wanted to try, and then all that stuff happened, and I'm like, I think they feel it's a success. Which, hey, I think this is
it looks like they're still playing it safe PR wise and saying that they just had an anomaly early in the first stage, and that was it. Yeah, and the mission safely terminated. Their words. So, but still.
Yeah, we're not. The chance of us learning more. I mean, Virgin is relatively. It's not like SpaceX.
No.
So I mean, they're not Blue Origin. So I guess that's good. So maybe they might say that it was an issue with the fueling,
you say they're not Blue Origin, but I'd say they're closer to getting an orbit than Blue Origin. That's right, I went there.
Oh, shots fired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready for the meme.
Oh.
Meme of the week. Did you forget?
I did.
I tell you what, take a second to go look one up.
I got mine ready as well.
I've got one ready.
You guys
you disabled participant screen sharing.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Oh no! How do I fix that? I don't know how to do that.
You know, in the closing credits, I listed you as Tech Whiz, and
there we go.
I'm about to.
I gave you permission. So
okay, cool. All right.
Yes, so I'm still Tech Whiz. Are you going? Okay, you're going.
I'm going. I know we briefly touched on him and took a shot, and then, this meme speaks for itself. Can y'all see it?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! No!
So close, yet so far.
Oh my gosh! I can't.
Having said all that, I know some people working for Boeing on SLS, and I still want them to succeed. But I'll be damned if I'm not missing an opportunity to throw a few jokes out there. So
okay, I need to calm down. That's just too funny because mine's not really a meme. Mine's just a fun conversation on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
Between our two overlords, Twitter and NASA. I'm looking through and I see the reply from NASA because I don't follow Twitter, and I just see, hey Twitter, what's up? And I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
This one, I love this one.
So for everyone listening, it's Twitter starts with you up at NASA, the classic you up, just a U and then up, which every high school guy has probably sent to some girl one day in high school, probably. Let's be honest. Hey Twitter, what's up? Tweeting from Earth, what's up with you? Nice, we love Earth. Just look at it. View from the cupola. Twitter, how's the Wi-Fi? This is how's the Wi-Fi up there? Speaking of, and what's your favorite space snack? Wi-Fi is decent. Some astronauts can tweet from up here, and they like.
Hold up, I missed that part. What's your favorite space snack? And they didn't say moon pie.
I'm actually sad they did not say moon pie, but it's NASA. They can't, maybe they can't do it. But like they
still opportunity missed.
They made puns. Launch meat.
Oh God. Oh God, the dad jokes.
Oh, I love it. That part just killed me. And then they talk about Mars, and they talk about Perseverance. and they asked if you want to watch it with us, and it's like it's a date. Twitter and NASA going on a date.
Wow.
I hope they continue this. I hope all of a sudden when Perseverant launches, like the CEO of Twitter or like some person from Twitter shows up and they watch with Jim Bridenstine, because that would be fun.
Who's that? Jack Dorsey? I think
is that who the CEO is
of Twitter? Yeah.
I should probably know this. We tweet a lot, so
yes.
Like, we should probably know who's in charge of Twitter.
Dude, I want to see Wendy's get involved with that.
Oh.
Can you imagine the burns? No. Can you imagine the sick burns if Wendy's was tweeting at spaceflight?
I don't even know.
Y'all think I take shots at Boeing and Blue Origin? Oh man, Wendy's would have no mercy.
At least the launch of our breakfast menu didn't. It succeeded more than Boeing's.
Oh.
And I don't even think their breakfast menu was that good. I think it launched down here, and now no one really cared.
Still though, Wendy's breakfast launch got closer to orbit than Blue Origin.
Okay.
Oh, I did it again.
Okay.
Oh.
Nathan, did you find anything or?
Oh, I'm just trying to find something that's appropriate here.
Oh, dude, come on. Come on.
This show?
Who do you think we are?
This show?
I'm just trying to. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's weird. Like for memes is often like I communicate in a meme. I will think like in a conversation. This is what I need to respond to in a meme. And I've often had conversations going back and forth just with memes.
I have in my bookmarks. It's just full of memes, and then I choose one for. And then I choose one for the show. I delete I think my favorite. I think I still have. I think I still do have the Evil Tango, from was it Astra? Was the company that's launching out of Alaska? Astra.
Yeah, that was Astra.
Astra. Yeah, Evil Tango. You just called him Ben. You can't get him through him. I still do. Did you? No. No.
I got one here.
All right, cool. I think. How do you? In the bottom, share screen, maybe. Do you see that?
Yeah,
option?
there's a big giant button that says share screen.
Okay, cool. I'm wondering if it's the same for me as it is for you guys, so I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. So let me.
Hey, there we go. Holy desktop. I have the same desktop.
Here we go.
There we go. Freaking Apple Maps.
Do we see? Is it up there?
Yeah, let me see it.
Waiting for it. Waiting for it.
Did you see?
Yes. Yes. I can't believe Steve Jobs never tried to get into the rocket biz like everyone else when he was still around.
I don't know. Well, the
gone
thing
too soon.
Yeah, gone too soon. He probably would. But the thing is, his rockets would be too expensive.
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to launch that for price. Come on, it's going to be made of, like, pure stainless steel.
Oh, God.
And they would get slower after time.
Yeah.
Go out and buy a new one.
Yeah, you would have to, every year there'd be a new version of it, and, it's twice as much.
And it'd be made in China.
And you wouldn't have the same cords. You have to get new hookups and umbilicals. It would just be a whole mess.
Yeah, astronauts would wear new suits every time, and you can't get the same suits.
Oh, man.
Every launch would be a new suit.
Yes, indeed.
You'd have to have an adapter to the hose that you plug it into. There'd only be one adapter for the cruise suits. You'd have to put splitters on them.
Man. All right. Thank you, posthumously, Steve Jobs, for not getting into the rocket biz, I guess.
All right. I think that's all we have for this week.
Yes. So
I mean, I want to talk about DM2 more, but I think we shouldn't. I think we've talked enough about DM2.
I guess it's just, where will we be watching it from? Or
undisclosed location.
Same here. Well, what stream will you be watching? Because this is being covered by a lot of different outlets. Like, all of the major networks, from what I understand, are gonna interrupt their normal TV schedule. Not as long as some other.
When's the last time they've done that? Was that Falcon Heavy Demo?
As far as rocket launch?
Did the national networks interrupt for the Falcon Heavy demo launch?
I'm not sure if they did. I was watching the official stream while working.
The local channel in Florida did.
Oh, okay.
That's the one we did. Okay.
I'm not surprised about that. Discovery Channel and Science Channel, it's going to be the same show, but they're showing the same thing for like 4 hours leading up to it.
Wasn't it? They on the Discovery Channel was tonight. They had like some documentary, and then tomorrow's going to be on Science Channel.
Yes, I have my DVR set for that. I have my DVR set for Wednesday. I am of course going to be going back and watching the NASA coverage as soon as I get back from my super secret location, which probably won't have cell signal.
Hopefully, yeah. I've already had planned with someone else. Like I have my stuff for network, and then the other person has network capabilities. If all that fails, hopefully the place we have there may or may not be Wi-Fi at the place we're going to be at, so hopefully I can link into that. But
well, I hope you record everything locally and make a video after.
I also rented SD cards.
What?
Well, okay, I had to rent. So I wanted a fast SD card for the USR. Sorry, I had like it would have been like.
Oh yeah, you're.
It would have been. It would have been this. It would have been like a 16 gig SD card. I'm like, I'm not using 16 gigs. What is it?
You're gonna need a lot.
90 megabits read, which probably means it's like 60 write or something. And I'm like, nah, I'm getting like the extreme version, like the 128 gig one.
Man, just buy it. It's a good investment. Telling you, bro.
But I can rent. It's fine.
Well, Nathan, I guess because of the ongoing C-word pandemic, you won't be able to make it in town, will you?
No, I gotta stay put.
Dang.
Unfortunately, so I'll be watching from my couch. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and hopefully things are better for Crew One. Come September, I hope August, September, whenever that time may be when they're ready to launch, and be down and catch that. And I got the Delta Heavy in the back of my mind for the end of August too.
Same. Delta Heavy is on the top 3 of my photography list. Delta Heavy, a good Atlas V picture, and a landing picture. That's my top 3 pictures.
I'm gonna miss the Delta 4 Heavy so bad. It's like on the even ask John Van Horn, like when we went past the Delta 4 Heavy pad for the State of NASA social. And I'm just glued to the glass. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. Because the doors were open. You could just see it in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
They've been leaving it open and showing it off. They're like, hey, don't forget about this thing right here.
They know what it's going to look like eventually when they roll the MST back, right? Because it's been out there probably for be by 10 months by that point. Yeah. It's going to be all faded in one spot. It was out, sunburnt.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be white in others and brown.
And then it's going to get extreme burnt after.
Yeah.
Then it gets a little
crispy.
Hardcore.
Yeah. That's what I can't wait to see.
I'm so sad I missed the last Delta 4 medium. The Delta medium. Well, I missed. I didn't get to go to that one. I was so sad. I didn't even see it from down here in Fort Wayne.
Oh, it was good.
It was too cloudy.
I took my niece to that one. My niece and her fiance, we all watched it from the gantry. And then we were walking around later, and I can't believe this kid. God, I love her to death. But right under the Space Shuttle Atlantis, she's like, space is always scary. I'm really terrified of it and everything involved with it. I'm like, you tell me this right here, right now? Oh my God, kid. She's like, no, the launch was cool, but it's so scary. I'm like, oh God, this kid.
Yeah, I'm going to be sad when that one gets retired, but I'm super excited for Vulcan.
Well, don't forget, you have one more D4 Heavy sitting in California right now, too.
Is there? Wait, there's one more in for California, and then
that is the very last one. And I will make the trek for that.
How many are launching for Florida still? Just one more or 2 more?
No, there's 2 more D4 Heavies, okay. Florida and California, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah, they just have them sitting there in their locations.
I so hope, and I don't think these are gonna be night launches either.
You need to at Tori.
Well, make sure they're night launches, because I don't have it. That's the one rocket I don't have streaks from.
The one in California is not until like 2023, so mean,
I got plenty of time. I got plenty of time.
Start saving up.
Yeah, you got plenty of time to at Tory.
I just want to ride the building back. That's all I want to do in life. That's all I want to do. Like that would just make me so happy just to ride the
2023, man. You got plenty of time. The Brown knows the guy.
Do they
He's
have
cool.
that? Do they have that in
Yep. They have. Don't they have like the split one?
Yeah, that's from the
like
shuttle.
From
They had the original shuttle pad that they were going to build out there.
Yeah, that's really cool. They have the split one. It's like whoop. Really cool. All right. I guess that's gonna do it for us. Up next is DM2, and we all just can't contain ourselves.
It's exciting. It's exciting this week.
Every time I see someone, it's like I get overexcited about every little thing. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
So,
all right.
Really looking forward to it.
I guess that's gonna do it for us. Thanks for everybody hanging out in chat, stopping by. We really appreciate y'all. Thanks for everybody listening on a podcast after this recording. We really appreciate y'all too. Make sure y'all give us a good rating on whatever podcast service you're using. Seth knows those services. Why don't you go ahead and list them off, buddy?
All of them.
All of them. There you go. There you go.
All the major ones: Google, iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff.
Google has a podcast. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Google. You don't know about Google Podcasting? Come on now, bro.
I get my audiobooks from them. I get my podcast from Spotify.
Nathan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was fun.
Yes, thank you for having me, guys.
Coming by.
This was great.
It was awesome. It was super fun. Hopefully, we'll have you on again in the future because that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And
yes.
again,
you're more than welcome back.
Like we said, thank you for joining us and listening. And we'll all see you guys next week.
Roll that beautiful outro footage.